you're looking already to pelt the questions at me this morning. But first, I want to give a quick update. In renewable energy, tourism, and infrastructural development. In our engagement with the Crown Prince, a wide range of areas for possible cooperation were also agreed upon, to include but not limited to tourism, food security, maritime cooperation, health, education, to include scholarships for Caribbean youth, and of course, infrastructural development. It's important for us now to follow up on the possibilities explored and to seek to formally establish a cooperation framework for the benefit of all our peoples. I again stress the need for us to address the issue of climate change as a collective, particularly the very important matter of climate financing. This issue of climate financing will be at the forefront of my agenda when I participate in the upcoming Conference of the Parties, COP28, in Dubai, the United Arab Emirates. I will lead a delegation to the highly anticipated climate summit next week, focused on improving access of small states to critical financial resources needed to build resilience against the changes in the climate. As I've said on several occasions before, we need this COP to be one of action that delivers on the promises of developed countries to provide the much needed financing to tackle the worsening climate situation. I believe that if we leave Dubai with no clear deliverables, it will be a very unfortunate period for us in the developing world. Everybody knows of my misgivings about the utility of such conferences. After all, we have walked the walk and we have talked the talk, but after 30 years or so, we have seen no practical action on the part of the developed world to helping address an existential threat to us in the Caribbean and, of course, in small island states. But as I've always said again, the lives of our people are at risk. And so I will stay true to the pledge that I've made to the Dominican people and, of course, the wider Caribbean region to keep fighting for more equitable distribution of climate financing, which is so critically and urgently needed to ensure all of us have a better future. And so we will attend and we will address and we will be engaging the various stakeholders at COP28 next week. Of course, one of the major preoccupations of the Dominican public is DOMLEC and load shedding. We share as a government their frustration and their anxieties, but rest assured that we will do everything to alleviate, and we're doing everything from the government standpoint to assist DOMLEC to alleviate the frustrations and the anxieties by reducing and eventually eliminating the need for load shedding in Dominica. Dominica has advised that the available capacity is now 3 megawatt short of what is required to avoid load shedding in Dominica. And as you may be aware, earlier this month, a landslide caused damage to 2 sections of the pipeline supplying water to the Trafalgar Power Station. So when they were making progress, this damage to the pipeline came and have set them back a bit. Infrastructure works at Trafalgar to restore the pipeline should be completed by the end of this week. However, maintenance work to avoid further risk to the pipelines will continue until mid-December 2023. Therefore, we expect the Trafalgar Power Station to be functional and back online by the 3rd week of December. 1 unit at the Foncolé Power Station, accounting for 1.4 megawatt of power, which is out for servicing, should be back online by November 30, 2023. When this unit comes back online, another unit at Foncolé will be taken offline for servicing. And so the critical point here is for really new generators that we are working on, and I'll speak to this. The good news in the immediate to short term, and as previously announced, Dominica has entered into a rental agreement with Agrico, a US-based generator rental firm, to lease 2 units generating 3 megawatts of electricity. The 3 megawatt units arrived on island on Friday, November 10th, and should be online by November 30th, 2023. This will boost Dominic's generation capacity and provide relief from the load shedding currently being experienced. The government of Dominica has procured additional generator units amounting to 4.8 megawatt of power, which will be leased to Dominic by the government on very favorable terms. And of course, I'm stressing favorable terms. The whole intention of that is to ensure that whatever the terms that will enter in Dominic, it won't trigger an increase in the cost of electricity to our consumers. If we're to allow Dominic to buy them, then Dominic will have to pass it on to the consumers. So we are buying them, and we will lease it to Dominic at favorable terms, so that we cushion that expenditure against the consumers. These units will be shipped to Dominica on December 2nd, and so once they get in by very early next year, we will be in a position to have them connected to the grid, and we believe that that will address the generation capacity by replacing new generators with old ones, because the intention of the government is to ensure that we have a 10 megawatt generation capacity with new generators going forward, to ensure that the wear and tear on these current ones will not cause us to be in a situation of load shedding. So we're working Dominic on the immediate, on the medium term, and of course the long term. And the longer term will involve the introduction of geothermal, which will arrest the situation completely. So we'll continue to work with Dominic to address and arrest the situation and return its operations to normalcy. This is a situation that affects us all, and which we admit is unsustainable in the long term. In government standpoint, we are self-generating most of the time to ensure that consumers can have access to electricity, and one can appreciate the added cost of the government. So monies that we should be using to pay service providers, we have to buy additional diesel to generate at the financial center, at the hospital, and other government facilities, so as to minimize and reduce the frequency of which some consumers are being affected. And so we're taking every action where this is concerned. And so we'll provide Dominic with all the support required. My only admonition to Dominic is that I believe Dominic has a duty, an obligation, and a responsibility to speak more to the Dominican public. It shouldn't take me to tell the Dominican public that the generators arrive on Friday the 10th. I think that's Dominic's responsibility. And I think they need to engage the public more and share information, as small as it is. People need to know what's happening so that they can organize themselves much better. And even the way we communicate, the communities that are to receive load shedding, we have to review this. Dominic needs to review this. This WhatsApp message that most of us don't read sometimes. We have to find ways of communicating with people much better. And I think Dominican people are reasonable people, with the exception of a handful. But Dominicans are reasonable people. I think if we engage them with discussion and we share with them the information, I think they'll understand. They'll understand what's happening, understand what is being done to address the situation and so forth. I will end here and to allow you to put forward your questions. I see Carla has both of his cell phone questions and his handwritten questions and so on. Please.
Yes. Okay, thanks, Prime Minister. I have a few questions.
Sure.
But the first one I want to deal with is some comments from two archbishops. We have Archbishop of Trinidad and Tobago, Jason Gordon, and former Bishop of Roseau, now Archbishop of Castro St. Lucia, Gabriel Malze, who they are speaking out about a recent agreement that was signed. And Archbishop Gordon is praising Trinidad and Tobago for not signing it. What I'm reading there is that it was signed by St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We want to know if Dominica signed the agreement, and if they did, what is in it for Dominica? Because from what I am listening to from the archbishops, there are serious implications, LGBT, etc., etc. I have a lot more questions, but I'll come back after. But this is very important.
You know, I'm a Catholic. Everybody knows that, and I do follow Archbishop Gordon from time to time. I believe he is a great leader of the Catholic Church, and the content of his sermons are always, very well thought of and researched, and I think his sermons usually and all of the time really help us in our journey towards heaven. And so I have the greatest admiration for Archbishop Gordon, and of course Archbishop Malze, of course I have the greatest of respect for, and I have listened to both of their sermons in respect to this agreement, the Samoa agreement. So I will not respond. I'm not responding to them. I'm responding to the general concerns that have been raised. The point is, we don't believe that the agreement, I'll say the Samoa agreement, that have been negotiated between the EU and the African and Caribbean states, which is a replacement of the Cotonou Agreement. And when you go to the Cotonou Agreement, some of these articles and clauses that are captured in the Samoa Agreement are similar in nature. And I believe that there are really two areas where there is an interpretation of the language that would give one the impression that those things that have been pointed out are in fact in the agreement, but they're not in the agreement. And I want to draw to your attention, and for the listening public, it's a 403-page document, and so I will draw to your attention to a couple of the areas that the readers may want to go to and to look at and to form an interpretation of it. There's Article 29, which speaks to health. And you go under Article 29, you go to Section 5. And Section 5 says, the parties shall support universal access to sexual and reproductive health commodities and healthcare services, including for family planning, information and education, and the integration of reproductive health into national strategies and programs. This is what the document says. Article 48, gender equality and empowerment of girls and women. And under Article 48, you go to Section 7. And this is what Section 7 says. The parties shall commit to the full and effective implementation of the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action and the Program of Action of the International Conference on Population and Development and the outcomes of the review conferences. They shall further stress the need for universal access to quality and affordable comprehensive sexual and reproductive health information and education, taking into consideration the UNESCO International Technical Guidance on Sexuality Education, as well as the need for the delivery of sexual and reproductive healthcare services. They shall pursue the effective implementation of the Montevideo Consensus on Population and Development as appropriate. As appropriate. And so some of the things that have been pointed out that are in the document are really not in the document. And I think people are looking at those sections and articles and indicating that there may be an opportunity for some of the things that we have concerns with may find themselves being implemented in our countries. I respect the concern of the church, and I don't think the concern of the church may necessarily be misplaced. I think what the church may want to say to us instead is to caution us against going on that route. But it is not in the agreement. You understand? It's not in the agreement. And so I give my dear leaders of the Catholic Church the assurance that this is not the case. We know, and quite rightly, as I said, we know that there are the countries and organizations and institutions who have particular views on these things, and they would like for us to implement these things. But I don't think the population of Dominica is ready for these things. And if we're going to go to those areas, and I believe that we should do a referendum on these matters. But I don't think that those sections in the agreement, articles in the agreement, really is saying that's what we're doing. Even when you go to the document and they speak about the death penalty, the document recognizes that there are countries who have the death penalty. All they're asking for countries where you have the death penalty is that we go through the necessary legal processes and give the individuals a fair hearing and go through all of the exhaustive processes and so forth. But I don't think the document itself highlights what are being pointed out in the public domain. Of course, we can read it further. Of course, people have different interpretations of the Bible, of the document, like we have in the Bible. People have different interpretations, and so it will all be left for interpretations. But in terms of the language, I do not necessarily believe that that's the case. We intend to sign.
I was going to ask, did Dominica sign?
No, Dominica, we were not able to attend the Samoa conference, but we intend to sign. I believe overall it is a good document. It could be more refined. It could be something in an agreement of everything you want that you will get. But it is a framework document that is not necessarily imposing any particular ideals or views on us in the African and Caribbean and Pacific region. Always it has to go to your national circumstance, your national laws, the provisions of your constitution, etc., etc. But it is a framework document that is no different to all the framework documents that the world has signed onto. And I referenced there the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action and the Program of Action of International Conference on Population Development and so forth. And, so I don't think it'll, I don't, in this world we always have to be vigilant, and I'm happy that the Catholic Church is vigilant and on that, and I commend Archbishop Gordon and Archbishop Malze on the very forthright and very clear setting up of the alarms and so on, and forewarning. So I prefer make it considered to be a forewarning rather than the document itself. But I intend to speak to Archbishop Miles on this document and to see what other views he may have or concerns he may have, and to see whether they're well placed or not necessarily well placed. Yeah.
Okay. Coming in fast and furious. First of all, Dominica saying that they're doing all that they can on social media, etc., and they think that they are totally in tune with the public. They just heard your comments and they're saying they are in tune with the public as to what you are saying. Not that I'm speaking for Domlek. But someone says, as the Prime Minister, how concerned he is with the ongoing Venezuelan and Guyana border dispute, and what is government's position on the matter, especially with Venezuela to hold a referendum in December. Also, PM, we want some update as it relates to the lighting situation of the Windsor Park Stadium. Where are we at this moment and what is going on? And we've been hearing also a lot about the Dominica China Friendship Hospital. In terms of doing blood, you cannot do it there. You have to go to the private entity. They seem to have some serious issues going on there. We want to know what is the latest on that. And someone sent me something about the Bureau of Standard. I'll pause here for now. Let you answer this.
Well, on the Dominic point, I will try to restrain myself on this matter. I recognize that Dominic is doing all that they can. But in the same token, the fact is, everybody in Dominica has been affected by this load shedding. And all I'm saying is that Dominic needs to speak more to the people and share more information to the Dominican public. And to continue about Facebook and everything, who in Penville is on Facebook? Who in the Calago territory is on Facebook? Do you think I have the time to be on Facebook every day myself? Or you? So they should not miss the point I'm making. They should not miss the point that I'm making. Because at the end of the day, ultimately I'll be held responsible. Even if I have nothing to do with it. Because from the time we acquired Dominic, I have never gotten involved in the management of Dominic. I have supported them. So all I'm saying to them, and people must not take offense to views. All I'm saying to them is that they need to speak and share. And if they're in tune, they'll be saying the same thing I'm saying, because I'm expressing the views of the Dominican public, because most people have my phone number. And they send me messages. I read what they say. The people on post things, I follow. I have to, as the Prime Minister, I have to listen to what people say. I have to read what they say. So all I'm saying, people are saying to me is that, and I agree with them, that we need to speak more, even if in a center, some lights go on, we're not part of the load shedding. That's all we're saying. So let us not be too sensitive, and it's not personal. You understand? So let's leave it aside. On the Venezuela-Guyana situation, we have been in touch with both countries. We believe in the territorial sovereignty of all countries, and we continue to ensure that there are no conflicts between Guyana and Venezuela in this matter. The government of Venezuela decided to carry out a referendum. That is in their right to carry it out. There is a process in place to address this border situation, and while there's a sovereign issues, we're there to support and to facilitate whatever dialogue and possible resolution to this long-standing border situation between Venezuela and Guyana. In respect to the Windsor Park lighting, there's some issues there, contractually, and so I believe that work on this has been suspended because there were some technical issues that needed to be resolved by the ministry, because the ministry they gone ahead and they gave the lighting. They did the lighting in 2 phases. Obviously, I suspected they may have done so because of cost. So they would do it in 1 phase, that is to run the electricals, put the bases for the light fixtures, and then the 2nd phase would be the procurement of the lights and the light fixtures. But we're being told that there may be a possibility that the bases may not fit the light structures and fixtures, and therefore we had to suspend to ensure that both are aligned. And so this is where we are with regards to the lighting, and I'm hoping that the ministry is concerned will continue to engage to have this matter resolved. Okay. The Dominica China Friendship Hospital, you said that the blood work have been sent out to private entities. This is a practice that has always been there for one reason or the other. Sometimes it's justified, and other times it may not be. But I do not have the response on this specific issue of the blood work going out to private entities, and why they're going out to private entities. But I know from time to time, either machine may be down or something happens and temporarily otherwise. And the reality is sometimes Dominicans just prefer to go to a private person. People, Dominicans like to go to private doctors and private facilities. So even if sometimes they can do it at the hospital, they rather go to a private enterprise. But it's a matter I'm sure the Ministry of Health is taking note of at the hospital, and they'll be able to respond to you with more specific details. Okay?
A follow-up as it relates to the
You already come from it?
Well, the questions have to come,
No, they come.
Yeah, they have to come. The follow-up is that how worried are you of the possibility of Venezuela annexing portions of Guyana, and the possibility of a regional conflict would result in military action?
My simple response to this: I don't think this will come out to any military action. I don't think so.
But does CARICOM have a position as it relates to that?
Well, I don't think it'll happen. I can tell you, I don't foresee any military action on this. I mean, this is a highly contentious situation, but I don't think it'll come down to military action at all. Okay,
on the local scene, we see that the chief of police his contract or his time for going on pre-retirement leave ended, and he's been given some contract. People want to find out what is the basis for that. That seemed to be out of the norm. Normally, when you see your time is up, then so people trying to find out reasons for that.
So, it's not out of the norm. You have several instances throughout the public service and indeed the police service where officers are required to go on pre-retirement leave. So they have not reached the age of retirement. But they have leave that they have accumulated over the years, and sometimes you pay them for the leave and allow them to continue in that position. And of course, there are arrangements within the public service, and there are several police officers who have been given that opportunity to extend. From time to time, issues come up. Of course, you had Independence season coming up. You had other matters regionally that we were dealing with, and it was the considered view of the Minister for National Security that he would like the Chief of Police to stay on until the end of December. So he's really just for 2 months, while he addresses certain issues that he had concerns with. And I agreed with his recommendation and advice, and asked the Chief of Police to remain for 2 months in the office of Chief of Police. So he is not retired. He's on pre-retirement leave. You have to demit office, or vacate the position when you get to the retirement age. But he has leave that will take him to retirement age. But we can ask, if we wanted, we could pay him for all of the leave that he has and allow him to stay. So this has happened from time to time, but there's nothing untoward about it, or anything of any concern where national security is that the public should have any concerns about it. Okay.
All right. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Good morning. Good morning. For some reason, I thought you were out of bounds, meaning that you were conspicuously silent for a little while, sir. I was a little concerned about that.
Yeah.
But I'm happy you're back, and of course, engaging the media.
Yeah.
Sir, there are many questions to be asked. Recent times we've heard, sir, as it relates to salary increases, not only for the public officers, but for the Prime Minister and his cabinet. Can you clarify as to how much, and if you did get an increase, can the economy, given the increase, can the economy hold up for this?
Sure. Okay. Well.
One question.
Yeah. As you know, the government engaged in a reclassification exercise of the public service, and to look at the job descriptions, the terms of engagement, the emoluments, that is to say, salaries and allowances for all public officers and police officers, because as you know, the police service falls under a different act as that of the public officers. And so the reclassification exercise was approved by Parliament in terms of the salary increases for public officers. And the majority of public officers, over 3,000 public officers, saw an increase in their salaries ranging from between 6 and 13% increases. Now, if you go to the last time the Parliament approved an increase for parliamentarians, so the increase was not only to the cabinet but to parliamentarians. If you look at the 2007 budget address, we would have indicated, and of course Parliament would have approved, that the Parliament salaries would be fixed against that of public servants. So if public servants were to get an increase in salaries, then the Parliament would get an increase in the salaries. And the reason for this was that before 2007, you had a situation where there were a significant number of public officers whose salaries were higher than that of the Prime Minister, higher than other ministers, and higher than that of parliamentarians. And to avoid, when we made the change of salary in 2007, to avoid you going back to that situation, we said, look, whatever increase the public servants receive, then there will be a formula that will be used to allow for a change in the salaries of parliamentarians, and of course the executive, the cabinet. And so you have a situation where the salaries of permanent secretaries, financial secretary, and the secretary cabinet increased. And you would have had a situation where the financial secretary and the cabinet secretary salary would have been maybe over $2,000 higher than that of the Prime Minister as a result of the reclassification. And so that was going along fine until the permanent secretaries themselves pointed that out to us and said, well, look, you have to there must be a change in the salaries of cabinet. And everybody knows me, I was very reluctant to go ahead with it, because I know how people react and scary get a salary increase and all these things, and we know Dominicans. But it had to be done. And so in keeping with the 2007 approval of the Parliament, and so that was extended as well to the Parliament. You have...
You're saying that 30% increase is justified? And
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't... I mean, I'm not sure the precise percentage increase. I will not speak about the percentage increase. And of course, we can share with you, this is public information. A salary of a Prime Minister is paid by the Treasury, and it goes to everybody, and it is published, and so forth. And so in regards to the new publication of the salaries by public of every government official, that will be published and so forth. But if the question is, should we not have increased the Parliament salary? If the Committee of Permanent Secretaries' salaries will increase, and looking at the 2007 decision of the Parliament and so forth. So I would caution us against making an issue about an increase in salary of parliamentarians or a Prime Minister or ministers when others in the public service would have received an increase. And we all part of the public service. I may be the chief servant, but at least, we all part of the public service. So to say that the Parliament and the Cabinet should not get an increase, but others is fine, I don't think the argument is consistent.
All parliamentarians got
All parliamentarians have got an increase. All parliamentarians. This was not only done for the Cabinet, but all parliamentarians, and that was done in keeping with the 2007 decision of the Parliament. And I can tell you, if the Committee of Permanent Secretary had received a reduction in salaries, I would have mandated that ministers and Parliament would have followed to get a reduction in salaries as well.
There are more questions to come, sir.
Yeah.
As it relates to, of course, you've been conspicuously silent as it relates to the issue all over the world, really, our golden passports on sale. So why have you not responded to the journalists around the world?
Well, I'm not sure what you talk about silent. I think I have been very vociferous and very transparent with my engagement on this matter at all levels. I am the biggest voice in respect to the protection and the advocacy in respect to our citizenship by investment program and how important it is for Dominica. I will engage any and everybody, governments, stakeholders, organizations, international financial organizations, international security firms and due diligence firms, and our security architecture within CARICOM and elsewhere. We engage the United States Treasury Department, and on this matter, the State Department. We engage in the European Union and the EU Commission on immigration on our CBI program. A technical delegation, as a matter of fact, is going to the United Kingdom next week to hold discussions with the Home Office and the Foreign Commonwealth Office in respect to our CBI program and our engagement with them with regards to the revocation of visa-free to Dominicans. And that's what they'll be having a 2-day engagement with the technical people at the EU, at the UK. We're hoping to have discussions in the first quarter of 2024 with the European Union Commission to discuss whatever concerns they may have and recommendations they may have as to how we can strengthen and improve on the transparency and the integrity and the security of our programs, and we are very open to that. The reality is there are some people out there whose only mission it is to destroy Dominica and to destroy that which is assisting Dominica in its efforts towards building its own independence and its own development. And I am not going to engage people whose only interest it is to destroy Dominica. These people have not been to Dominica. They don't know how we live. They don't know how we sleep. They don't know how we eat. And they're not interested in that. But their only interest is to write in stories with the only intention of destroying Dominica. Haven't you asked yourself, Matt, what is the interest of these people you're referencing in Dominica? That they have not been to Dominica. They do not know. If you're writing a story, anybody can write a story. So it's a democracy. It's a free world. There's free speech and freedom of writing and freedom of expressions. But if you're hell-bent only to destroy, so you're not coming and talk about how important the CBI is to maintaining the NEP in Dominica and the $5 million we pay every month for NEP. You're not talking about how it's helping to create jobs where people are employed at Jungle Bay and Secret Bay and Intercontinental and under construction at Tranquility or Ocean Edge or wherever the others. You're not talking about the impact it's having on infrastructure of Dominica. You're not talking about it sustain us, especially during the COVID period, and of course the hurricanes and the resources that we're using to build resilience against climate change when the developed world is not keeping up to its commitment to providing the financing to us. And there's no other country in the world, none, where you have such programs, including in Europe, including North America, including the Caribbean, where there is clear visibility of the use of CBI funds like Dominica. None. You cannot take one person, say out of 5,000, and say the program is bad. And I don't think the program should be held responsible if after you've received the citizenship, you go and you cause yourself to find yourself to be a fault in the law. We have many Caribbean citizens who have been sent back to Dominica after having received green cards from the United States. They found themselves, unfortunately, into some difficulty with the law, and they find themselves back. Do you blame the U.S. green card program for that? No. So I think, Matt, people like yourself and others who engage these people, you have to ask them, what about the other side?
But no.
So they come there and they look in.
That you put your side of the story. But did you think you have a responsibility as the head of state to answer questions from international journalists?
I don't have any obligation to answer any questions from anybody in the world except Dominicans. I'm only answerable to Dominicans. I am prepared to have a conversation with people who want to have a sincere and honest and transparent discussion. But these people are being paid by people who wish to see this country come to its knees, so that the several people who are receiving benefits under the NEP will no longer have funds to do this, that they would like to see the international airport come to a halt, that the several homes that are being built for citizens across Dominica would stop, and the investments we're making in agriculture and tourism will come to a halt, and that's the motivation. If the motivation is to look at the CBA program, look at it in entirety. The concerns, the benefits, the issues, the shortcomings, the gaps, the benefits. Let's have a conversation. But it cannot be that, and you see, we have to be careful in Dominica that we don't make this a partisan issue. Because tomorrow morning I'll be gone. But we have a country to build and to foster and to mold. And I've seen this played out in some Caribbean countries where you're in opposition, you criticize these programs and government policies, you come in and you believe that the same people who you're working with to undermine the country will start working with you to build the country. No. It doesn't happen. luckily, I've been around for long enough to see these things happen in the Caribbean. And so we have to be very careful in Dominica. Yes, they always, once you're alive on earth, you'll always be subjected to challenges, And these programs are an evolving program. The world itself is becoming is an evolving place with new and emerging challenges, things that the security people were dealing with 20 years ago is completely different from today. The health challenges that you had back then are completely different from today. So you as time goes by, you have to do further examinations and review and peer review, and you have people from outside who have an interest to come and help you. And this is what we've done in the United States. The United States was invited to Dominica by myself to come and independently examine our CBI program, go through it, and make certain recommendations to us as to how they believe that we can improve on our program. And this is where this is part of the 6-point program. And we have implemented the 6-point program. We're doing interviews of people. We have put legislation in place. As a matter of fact, local lawyers are complaining about the difficulty of having names changed in Dominica. And we are increasing. As a matter of fact, we're just reviewing our legislation to bring in even more robust and stronger legislation that will go to Parliament next month to lay on the table in Parliament to seek parliamentary approval. So we continue to engage and we continue to engage various stakeholders and to examine our programs. And anybody who genuinely has an interest in the program, come look at the program and what it is. There was a follow-up meeting in the United States in October in Miami, where they went through the system. They've offered us additional support, which we have accepted. And so this is what we're doing. And this is what we're doing with the United Kingdom, engaging them. Look, what are your specific concerns about our program? What do you recommend we need to do to address this? And this is the engagement that we continue to have. This is the same engagement we have in the European Union. So we are, in fact, engaging stakeholders who have a genuine desire to assist us in addressing whatever concerns they may have. So we're engaging on that, and so forth. But I will not engage any economic terrorists who wish to destroy the welfare and well-being of Dominica. And they can write all the stories they want, but this is not going to cause us to change our position on this. And I will caution Dominicans against engaging these economic terrorists who write this unfounded, malicious statements about Dominica.
Strong words.
Very strong.
The Dominica Bureau of Standards, my understanding is that the contract of the director has not been renewed since December 20.
Which was that?
The Dominica Bureau of Standards. Yeah, the contract of the director has not been renewed since November 2022. Also, the term of the National Standards Council expired in April 2023. 6 months now, no council. If you can give us an update on that. And also, what is there for the Dominicans and the barrels? We are approaching the Christmas. Can you tell us what your government has in mind for the people of Dominica as it relates to that service? Thank you.
Yeah. Just to say, well, in respect to the Bureau of Standards, there is a director in place. The contract of the one who was there before wasn't renewed, but there is a director and person who is responsible for the day-to-day management of the Bureau of Standards. I have taken note of the other points that you've raised so that we can clarify those points to the ministry. Okay? Yes, ma'am, please.
Linda Martin for Kyrie News. We recently set up a sperm whale reserve, right? But now we've also found out that our mountain chicken has now fallen to critically endangered category. Are we considering setting up a reserve for them? How concerned are we about that?
Yeah, in respect to the sperm whale reserve, this is the first of its kind in the world, and I think Dominica is coming for tremendous international commendation for yet again taking a proactive, sensible, and sincere action to protect our marine ecosystem. And of course, the sperm whales are a unique animal to Dominica, and it is an opportunity for us to ensure their survivability. And we want to thank all international partners for working with us on this. I want to say to Dominicans that I received a very kind letter from His Majesty the King Charles III, congratulating Dominica on the establishment of the Sperm Whale Reserve, which is exceptional news for us. So even His Majesty the King has taken time off to write me a letter to commend us, and we thank him most profusely for this very kind and generous letter. In respect to the mountain chicken, the crapo, this has been going on for more than 10 years now. There have been some degenerative challenges with the crapo. We've been engaging in studies with a UK firm who's been helping us tremendously over the years to see how we can address this degenerative issue confronting the mountain chicken, which I believe is a global thing. There are other frogs, the frog family, who have been subjected to that kind of illness, and so that continues. I know some years ago we started hearing them in the bushes, but the matter which is confronting them still persists. So we know this is why we removed it as part of our national foundation. We put a complete indefinite ban on its hunting about over 10 years ago. But anything that has to do with our ecosystem and our wildlife is a concern for us, and this is why we have we ban hunting of certain creatures for most of the year, to ensure that they can remain with us indefinitely, and to protect the endangered circumstance. But it is something that has preoccupied the government and, of course, the ministry on this. And I know some work is ongoing, but it's not easy work, because the matter that's confronting them is very severe and very perplexing, based on what the scientists have been saying to us over the years. Sure. You serious? No? Which one? Which? Oh, the barrier. I'm sure we'll. Listen to me ask you. I would say to them, more than likely yes. So more than likely yes. We will go with the barrel situation. Barrel situation that we've done before. What I would like to caution Dominicans, please, if we give you a local, as is you, let's do it properly. Don't try to beat the system. That's what the problem. So it's like the 150. Is it US FS that people? So we have this 150 US exemption on EC exemptions and so forth. But people find ways of going around it. And when you find ways of going around it, it's sort of affecting the local business community, and then it's affecting our tax revenue, and it's sort of affecting employment. So let us use it properly as we have articulated. So do not put a microwave down in the bottom of the barrel when the microwave is not a part of it, or some other stuff that, or bring 10 barrels and put one on everybody else's name, I mean, two barrels, transparently bring the 2 barrels. We'll make it go through. But don't try to beat the system, but yes, they'll have it. Yes, they'll have it. We'll have and we'll announce it very soon. So it will way into for Christmas. This time it early as compared to last year, it was very late. So we'll take a decision this week. Okay. So it'll come into effect what FS 1st of December. 1st of December will come into effect. 1st to 24th. So it'll come into effect 1st of December. All right. So I'm sure people must be calling their aunties. Hold the barrel back. Hold the barrel back. Please.
Just wanted to confirm for the general public, should Dominicans expect a Black Christmas this year, or are there going to be any implementations within that time frame that would probably ease up the load shedding? I'm not sure if you're able to answer.
First of all, let's correct some issues. Yes, it's a 4.8 megawatt of power that the government has procured, and we will listen to Dominic on concessionary terms, favorable terms, so as not to cause there to be an increase in the rate of electricity to consumers. It will be shipped to Dominica on December 2nd, so it will leave its current address to come to Dominica. So it will arrive in Dominica next year, I'm being told. Okay? The issue of what is being done, as we said, Dominica has leased a 3 megawatt generator. The generator arrived on November 10th this year. It will be placed on the grid by 30th, right, of November. Dominic was affected with regards to the water lines connecting to the Trafalgar Power Station. They're repairing this. The additional maintenance which need to be done. So that will be completed mid-December, and then Trafalgar Power Station will go on back on the grid the third week of December, based on what Dominic is saying to me. So every action has been taken by Dominic, and in some cases supported by the government, to first of all reduce on the frequency of load shedding, and secondly to eliminate load shedding completely. Once we can get this 3 megawatts, because as we speak now, there is a deficit of 3 megawatts of generating capacity in Dominic. If we bring on this 3 megawatt, and we get back Trafalgar on stream, and they do the maintenance of the 1.4 megawatt generator that they're doing maintenance. And I think if we do the math, I believe Dominic could be in a better position to be able to supply the country and minimize and eliminate load shedding in the immediate term. The medium term is the setting up of the 4.8 megawatt generator capacity that we've ordered on Dominic, that will come on the grid next year. And the long and longer term solution will be the addition of geothermal to Dominica. So Dominic is approaching, and the government is approaching this from all fronts. Okay? So I don't envisage a Black Christmas. I'm hoping it'll be Christmas of lights. Christmas lights. And so forth. So, but we're pushing. We're very sensitive to this thing. This preoccupies my mind because, everybody suffers from it. It's costing the government a lot, So, and I understand with the technology these days, with frost-free fridges that we have. Not back in the old days, you were way too young to know frost, fridge frost. And so when lights go, you could stay a day and a half. Your chicken and your fish still with frost and so forth. But with frost free now, it's difficult to keep them cold as they used to. You're a big frost free fridge, Kali? Double door? Okay. All right. So this is what it is. I've just been told that Kali, that I believe I knew, but I don't want to confirm it. But we confirmed that the Bureau Standards Board was appointed last month. So that board is in place. That board is in place. Part of the challenge we have with boards is the reporting to the IPO, to the Integrity Commission. Sorry, people do not want to come to report. So this is why you find sometimes you have the same person, a chairman or chairperson of more than one board, because it is not this is not a practice the government would like to engage itself in. But there's a few people who wish to report, and sometimes the people who we can get to be chairperson are people who are already reporting, right? And that is the challenge. So we ask people who have the capacity and who we know can bring value to the table, And they say, boy, scared boy, that commission thing, I think never been nothing. But a man there playing politics in this thing sometimes. And
Question?
yeah.
Prime Minister, a bowling alley, a theater, and a golf course are to be built in Roseau with monies loaned from the Saudi Arabia or from Saudi Arabia. Where exactly are these facilities or these facilities will be built?
The loan from Saudi will be primarily for the roads enhancement project, and we are also engaging them with doing a segue with some of the funds to build an entertainment complex. The reality is, Matt, in Dominica, we have to create spaces where families can go to recreate and socialize, and to get our children and families out of their homes, and to ensure that we can build communities in our country. And we believe that such facilities will enhance the opportunity for people to socialize, recreate, and build community in Dominica. And it also will be a source of economic opportunity and employment opportunities for people. Because while the government would like to build this, government will not manage it. We will outsource its management and its operation. So we're looking at a couple locations, and we will finalize it, and we'll share it with you. So we're doing the necessary surveys for those areas, because one has to look at parking. You need parking for maybe over 200 vehicles, that kind of thing, so that people don't have to park on the side of the road. They come into the theater, they come into the bowling alley. But these are all indoor activities. They're all indoor activities. So when I speak about the golf course or the miniature golf I'm talking about, it's an indoor recreation matter, and not the golf course as we know it.
Not a big golf
9 hole or
course.
18 golf. No.
I've seen, Prime Minister, and of course many people in here, I've seen some, I refer to it as false advertising, but some people will say there's no false advertising. Some YouTube video going around about some 10 mega projects or programs taking place in Dominica. I've never heard about this in Dominica. Can we talk about this?
Yeah, this is not a video was generated by the government.
So this is false advertising.
Well, all I can say is that it is not from the government. In this day and age, matters, with social media and AI and all of these things, people create all kinds of things. It is left to us to really discern what makes sense and what doesn't, and be on the side of what makes sense, and not to be sensational. But this is not part of the government program or promotion or anything like that.
Let me just ask the Minister of Health a question here. I just saw him here. I don't know if he's here for this conference. There's an outbreak of chicken pox at the prison, sir. Can you speak to that? The Minister.
Minister.
Are you aware, sir? I mean, you can answer if you
We
want
we can give a report on that at a subsequent time. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Any other questions? No. But I want to thank you for your very tough questions and so on. Today, you guys came for me today. But I appreciate the questions. I appreciate the spirit in which they were asked, and I do hope that my responses satisfied the curiosity of those who would advise you to ask those questions. Yeah, sure.
Give me an update on the international airport, sir, because how much money has been front-loaded by MMCE on that?
The work is going on at the international airport apace. I think we're making progress. There are a number of elements taking place. I say to people, you won't see the actual work by driving through Wesley. You really need drone footage to give you a true appreciation for the expanse of the site and the extent of work taking place there. So you have culverts being built, you have earth movement being done. It's a significant site. And just to give you an sheer cost of it, currently there are about 230 Dominican citizens employed on the site, and the numbers will keep increasing as the pace of work continues. So project on schedule, and we look forward to that being the case, and we're very excited about it. This is the largest infrastructural project in the country's history. It is going to be a transformational project. We are satisfied as Dominicans that, when we are blessed with this international airport, that it will certainly, sustain the investments we've made in tourism, agriculture, and small business development, but also spur increased economic activity. And so you tie the airport with all of the hotels we're building. You tie the airport with the geothermal. You tie the airport with all the investments we make in agriculture. You tie the airport with all the investment we make in small business development. And you tie the airport with all of the infrastructural work that has taken place across Dominica. And I think you're seeing a clear plan for the next 15 years in Dominica. I can get you the precise figure on this, but we can give it to you by today or tomorrow morning. I don't have the precise figure with me today, but it's a significant project, and I'm hoping that we can fight among ourselves politically, but there are some things that we need to wrap around the national flag. And if every government for entire existence has attempted to do something about the airport, and God has blessed us, and the airport is being done so magically in the most difficult period of the world, I think we all should embrace it, and support it. But it's a significant project. Just to give you an example, Martin, the terrain and the type of soil, because you have so much moisture in the soil, we're going to have to spend about $20 million of cement for compacting. That's to say to mix the cement with the soil. And the estimate is about $20 million. That's not for building of the waterways or the runway or the terminal building, just to compact, just to mix. You take cement and you mix it with the soil, to allow for quicker drying of the soil and so forth. So it's a huge project that we believe is absolutely necessary for us to pursue. And of course, you have the marina. And so there are a number of exciting things. While we may have our challenges, day-to-day challenges, but we have to look at the bigger picture. And I think the bigger picture is going to help us in the medium term to the long term to address any challenges that we have from day to day. And
people insist, Prime Minister, that there's some Chinese establishment and a farm on that hotel compound, that airport compound.
But you have Chinese workers there on site, who are on site. The usual practice of the Chinese, and I think it's something that we should all emulate, is our backyard garden. So they may plant a particular type of cucumbers that they like, or Chinese cabbage that they won't find in the market. You see what I'm saying? So they will plant certain things that their intestines are familiar with, and the bowel system and the digestive system are familiar with, that they may grow. But I am aware that they're procuring significant supplies from local farmers and service providers across the country. But they will always grow something and to ensure that the things that they may not get here, Chinese cabbage, the long cucumbers that Dominicans don't like but the Chinese like, that you won't get otherwise. So they grow those things. And I think it's something we should emulate. Backyard gardening is so crucial. If we in Dominica, anywhere in the world, are to have 3 meals from a supermarket, we'll have a problem. We have to be able to supply ourselves with some things. This idea of we going and buy a box of juice, and they say 100% juice when it's 100% water and sugar, and no vitamin C in this. That's part of the health problem we have with diabetes and hypertension in the country. All of these important things that we do not know who grew it, where they grew it. We can't even read the label because it's in a foreign language. We have to confront this thing by growing more of what we know. I don't see why we have anybody who has some land at the back of the house. It should be cultivated. I'm not telling everybody is a farmer. No, but I'm sure if you put a little bean, it's going to grow, or some lettuce or something, it'll grow. And we have to encourage this. Just to give you an example, my wife bought some bags because she's promoting urban agriculture and vertical agriculture and so on, and bought some bags, some with crocus bag material, put in some soil in this, and we sowed some white potato seeds and also red onions. Now, Mount Daniel is not known to grow white potatoes in terms of the condition for white potatoes. But we made white potatoes in the bags on the concrete steps and red onions. And enough to keep us for a couple months. So even if you don't have space, there's some methods that we can use to grow something, because I am concerned, I'm happy you raised the concern about the market garden of the Chinese. I am concerned that we are not consuming enough vegetables and fruit in Dominica, that we focus heavily on carbohydrates. And so even when you buy lunch in town, I'm concerned that the lunch, even myself, I buy lunch in town sometime. So I'm going to tell you what people tell me. I find that the portion of vegetable is a bit small. But I have rice, I have macaroni, I have ground provisions, I have potato salad. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot. And I say I try to keep, you see my stomach going on, and I'm trying to stay slim and trim as I get older. So we have to address this on a frontal manner. People know me, I've been talking about that for a long time. We have to ensure that we have a higher consumption of vegetables and fruits as part of our daily diet. Otherwise, we'll have a problem in the country. We already have a problem of diabetes and hypertension, but it can be exacerbated. That's one of the things that keep me up at night.
So why don't you allow, say, the Chinese to consume more or buy more from our supermarkets?
Well, they buy from farmers and not from the supermarkets. They buy from the people who grow it. Because sometimes some of the things you see at the supermarket come from other countries. But I know of farmers who supply the Chinese, who are supplying the Chinese at the hospital. They were supplying the Chinese, also supplying Chinese at the airport, and who were already starting supplying the Chinese on the schools. So the Chinese do consume a significant amount of local supply of vegetables and fruits and provisions. But as I said, these people come from an agrarian society. It's only in recent time, in the last 20 years, China has really got into other things like tourism and others, but China was known for agriculture. And so they have that within their culture. And of course, we see the Chinese diet. The Chinese diet is very low on carbohydrates. The most they consume is rice. I have never seen Chinese offer me noodles. I'm not noodles, but what do you call it? Macaroni and cheese. So, but they're high on vegetables and so forth, and very low on carbs. So you have that situation. But I don't think we have to be careful in Dominica that we don't give people who are helping us, that impression that they're not welcome. And I want to caution us again, that's not a good practice. See, there are two things in life, before I go, that we have to pay attention to as a society: gratefulness and graciousness. If we don't have that, we will live miserable lives. And we have to be careful that we don't pass it on to succeeding generations. We must be grateful and we must be gracious. And if you don't have that, we have a problem. And there is an element, though small, of that in the country. That we go and we protest outside the Goodwill Secondary School construction site and a Wednesday march and throw stones. I mean, why are we doing that? Is it because we have no children going to that school? Or we don't care? Or we are tormented or something? I mean, why are we doing that? And why is it that whenever we speak about these things is in a negative tone? You know, so we speak about some people speak about the airport with a negative tone, you know, and why would we focus on a few cucumber seedlings growing on a 511-acre plot as the most significant issue of an international airport? You know, it's what I'm saying? That is what somebody drive by and they saw. When I drive by, I see the concrete batching plant, I see the asphalt batching plant, I see the tons of earth that have been moved. I see the started construction of the waterways, the culverts. I see black people who I know have been Dominicans from Woodfordale and Wesley and Marigot. And I see people, Kalinago, and I watch them, I say they're not Chinese, they're Kalinago people from Talibia constituency working. And I see a part of mine from Point Michelle. They're on site. That's what I see. And why don't we see those things in the country? We have to be careful. We have to be careful. That it is not, people must understand, I am not the one who is giving, you know. It is the Lord who giveth. I am just an instrument that the Lord is using. So when people don't show graciousness and gratefulness, it is not to me, because I am the least of the apostles. You know, it is to the Lord that you're not showing these things. And if we don't thank the Lord for our daily bread, then what's going to happen to us? And what example are we teaching our generations? That people helping us and we should stone them? That we should go and protest against them for what? And people say there's nobody employed at Goodwill School Dominicans. If you go there, you'll see Dominicans there. You know, it's not a good feeling. And for me, far more for the person who is giving us the help. I mean, somebody's building 6 schools for you. You should be having placards saying, "Thank God for the Chinese." Not the Chinese go home. Why are we doing that? You know, but we believe that that's going to cause us to get in the government faster. It's not going to cause us to get in the government. I mean, this party is there for your next, I don't know, but the next 30, 40 years. So what is the issue? Let's have a government of national unity. So I can bring a couple more spaces in the cabinet.
One more question related to the electoral reform.
Well, we're going through the processes, as I said, of reviewing the legislation and looking at the main themes of recommendations coming from the consultations. And I believe that coming in New Year, we'll be in a position to present those to the public as final documents or draft documents to be sent to the Electoral Commission and then to Parliament, and then implementation. Okay? Thank you very much. God bless. All right.